I could not be more disappointed in a brand if I tried to be. I'm genuinely feel really, really gutted. e.l.f. is a brand that I have personally worked with, been to events with, have had contracts with, and really love their products. Like, genuinely, I would recommend them all the time. Listen, I'm very aware of parasocial relationships, and that you probably shouldn't trust like huge conglomerates and big brands, but e.l.f. was a brand that kind of showed up in spaces that mattered to people. You know, they did charity work, they spoke out on a lot of things, and to see something like this happen is very annoying. I'm gonna give a bit of a disclaimer. I've looked through comments of people talking about this, the brand themselves, and there's a few things that people keep repeating. It's one is, don't be so sensitive. The other is, it was ages ago. And we'll talk, if you don't know what's happening, we'll talk about it later. And things like this. Here's the deal. There's a few ways to look at this. As a bad business choice, which is bad, and also just bad in general in terms of supporting somebody with money, because e.l.f. would have paid Matt Rife, who thinks domestic violence is funny. And we'll get into dark humor as well later. Here's the deal. If you are telling people to not be so sensitive and to get over it and all this stuff, and trigger warning, there will be mentions of domestic violence, you are asking those people that have either experienced domestic violence, have people in their families who have survivors of domestic violence, you're telling them to get over it and to move on. e.l.f. has put somebody in one of their adverts who makes jokes about domestic violence survivors. And it also has a tie to makeup. So we'll talk about this. Okay, so I'm just saying that if you make a comment like this, I am going to pin it and I'm going to respond and I'm going to make you feel and look like the biggest fucking fool in the comment section. Before we get more into talking about why what happened is so bad, get some context, right? This is e.l.f. We all know e.l.f. Affordable brand that a lot of us love, known for making more affordable dupes of popular products. Let's take a look at the advert in question. This features comedian, said very loosely, because it's not funny anyway, no matter what he's joking about, and drag queen Heidi in the closet.
Hey girl. Has overpriced beauty hurt your wallet?
e.l.f. that!
Alfino and Schmarns have gone to e.l.f. Court from millions of clients, helping them to access beauty products they deserve at prices that won't injure their livelihoods.
Just ask the elfin people.
I know a thing or two about red flags, and pricey makeup, you deserve better than that.
You may be entitled to benefits.
Let's get you those eyes, lips, funds.
Find out what your case and face are really worth.
Call us at 1-855-COLD-HARD-LASH.
That's 1-855-265-34.
273-2274.
How people gonna remember that?
Well, here's a number you can remember. $9.
Affordable beauty attorneys will win the elfin case for your eyes, lips, and face. Call 1-855-273-2274.
Call me.
So that was the latest advert from e.l.f. And no, that was not Leatherface. That was comedian Matt Rife. And yes, although his face may look like it's made out of spare leftover meats from a charcuterie board that someone's just molded into what they think a man's face should look like, he is in fact human. If this is your first time hearing about why the situation is so bad, buckle up and I will get you up to speed. I'm very much sure that all of you who watch this channel will know who e.l.f. is and what they do. They're an affordable makeup brand that has been around since 2004. e.l.f. have always been that reliable, if I want a product that works, I will go to e.l.f. because you know you're going to get a decent product at a decent price. Their marketing has actually been quite comical. They've had some really good adverts up to this point, and they've kind of been known for those kind of weird but adverts that work. Apart from the actual makeup though, e.l.f. have had just this fantastic identity, mainly with their ethics, their move towards cruelty-free and pro-women stance, right? Some of the campaigns they have ran include being the first beauty sponsor of a women's soccer league, their Billie Jean Cup activations, their partnership with Kendall Coyne, being the first beauty sponsor for the Indy 500, the Show Your e.l.f. series, Paralympic inclusion non-profit, the So Many Dicks campaign, their reproductive rights promotion, all on top of pledging 2% of their profits every year to charity. This is like I always say, a lot of people nowadays, when they are shopping, they look at brands and think, if this was a real person, would they be my friend? Would they be a family member? Would I like them? And a lot of us look at e.l.f. and think, yeah, they have a sense of humor. They do a lot of charity work. They speak up a lot for women. They have a great inclusion of every gender in their advertising. They usually come across as a brand that actually really does care. And you do expect in their adverts now some familiar faces, celebrities, a drag queen, something funny, something a little bit strange, but it's always going to be an advert about saving you money. You shouldn't have to pay more for your cosmetics, basically, and that's usually what you can expect from them. Whatever we did expect from e.l.f., it wasn't this. Back to the advert, that was Heidi in Closet, who is a drag queen from RuPaul's Drag Race, and Matt Rife. The advert without him is a pretty decent idea. I do wish you could get away from this, oh, legal, we're in court. e.l.f. have kind of done that situation already. We're gonna get you claims, whatever. We've done it. We've done it. But their adverts do usually go viral for being quite funny or being quite good. This advert's gone viral for being bad. Some of the comments people have left under the advert itself: you didn't have a budget for a comedian who doesn't joke about abuse. I thought you guys were cruelty-free. e.l.f., I'm going to hold your hand when I say this. Just because you got a drag queen in the mix does not mean it's a green light for Matt Rife. Absolutely. I think Andrew Tate's available for the next ad. Oh, Matt Rife, the guy who jokes about domestic violence in an ad targeted to women. That's a choice. Love my sis, but it's giving good genes. That's Deja Sky, who is a drag queen also from RuPaul's Drag Race, saying, I love Heidi in Closet, but not that guy. How can we be a girl's girl brand if we hire Matt Rife for an ad? Trevor here says he doesn't even wear makeup, right? Out of all the people in the world, Frederick, choices, absolutely. You don't have a single woman on your marketing team. Was Jeff Ross not available? Who will you hire next? Andrew Tate? You just lost a lot of customers. So if you aren't familiar with Matt Rife, the Andrew Tate comments might give you a little bit of an idea, right? If you don't know who Matt Rife is, firstly, I'm jealous. Secondly, he is one of these shit comedians where he can't really make a joke without trans people or women being the punchline. One thing I hate most about him, and one thing that a lot of people are trying to defend him in the comments, is, oh, they use this kind of like, oh, it's dark humor to say really disgusting stuff. Like, firstly, they're grown adults and know very well that they are doing this for pure shock factor. It was never funny. And secondly, no one ever said you can't have dark humor. Dark humor literally comes from the fact that when people are going like through the worst situations you can imagine, you can become depressed and find it hard to feel happy. But since humor is a separate emotion to happy, you find that even some of the saddest people are able to laugh at a joke. It helps normalize and make sense of situations that normally wouldn't have that avenue. Dark humor is fantastic when you have the right context and is delivered from someone you know isn't a misogynistic shitbag. Dark humor needs to come from somebody who understands nuance, context, and has good values. And these straight, white, right-leaning men couldn't have that if they wanted to. But also, how is your entire career going to be based around how funny you are, yet you cannot come up with a joke that doesn't hurt someone? And listen, I do appreciate dark humor. I do appreciate things like that. But I appreciate it when it's done in a satire way. There's TV shows that might make comments about a certain group of people, let's say gay people, for example, but it's done in a way where it's like, can you believe that there are actually people like this? Take South Park, for example, right? Who bring up quite uncomfortable situations sometimes. But a lot of the time it's done in a way where it's like a mirror, holding a mirror up to the world, and it's saying, these people exist. It's hilarious that people actually believe some of the shit they're saying, and this is what they look like. I actually don't know much about him. All I really know is he's a douche. He's said all these terrible things, and that he refuses to admit that he's had any kind of filler or surgery. Not against it, love it, just admit it. Especially when your chin is off to a side. He's one of those people that very obviously pander to the very far right wing kind of audience, right? And that's often a tactic people do when they fail or they start to fall off and no one's giving them attention anymore. Quick warning before we watch or talk about any of his jokes. The examples we're going to see include domestic violence, him making crude jokes about women's body parts, which I doubt he gets to see anyway, and just jokes you would expect to see coming from like your weird, out of date, out of touch old family member that just discovered Reddit. You know what I mean? And if you're like, okay, well, it's funny, he's funny, I want you to watch these clips in the context of you are a business person, right? You have no soul, you have no heart, no empathy for people, but you're trying to make a good business decision. You work for a company that support women, donate to women's charities regularly, talk about how men are overpowering in the beauty space, all this kind of stuff. What about you as a business choice? What about your brain as a business choice decided to choose this man?
All your doors, dude. Like, you don't, no middle ground ever, man. I've only been to Baltimore one time. I ate lunch there, and the hostess who, like, seats you at the restaurant had a black eye. A full black eye. And it wasn't like, what happened? Yeah, it was pretty obvious what happened. And we couldn't get over the fact that we're like, this is the face of the company? Like, this is who you have greeting people? And my boy who I was with was like, yeah, I feel bad for her, man. I feel like they should put her in the kitchen or something where nobody has to see her face, you know? And I was like, yeah, but I feel like if she could cook, she wouldn't have that black eye. So, just testing the water, seeing if y'all are gonna be fun or not. Just wanted to see. I figured we start the show with domestic violence. The rest of the show should be pretty smooth sailing after that.
Thumb wrestle. Like, I don't know.
I mean, both, honestly.
I don't love a giant clit. I don't want to look down and feel like like God left a tag on you. I just don't want your pussy to look like the gum from Sausage Party. You know what I mean?
So those were some of the things that he has said in past shows, podcasts. There's also this part of an article. It says, the week before his special began streaming, Rife told Variety, one thing that I wanted to tackle in this special was showing people that, like, despite what you think about me online, I don't pander my career to women. I would argue this special is way more for guys. Similarly, on the Chicks in the Office podcast, Rife said he attracts audiences of 90% women who aren't fans for the right reason, who quickly realize his stick isn't for them. So they bring their boyfriends or husbands who are always reluctant because they fucking probably bought the tickets. They didn't want to be there, and then like 20 minutes into the show, they realize my comedy is so much more for the guys than it is for girls. Last night, Rife returned to the corporate sponsor of the crime to perform a sold-out show at the Hollywood Bowl as part of a Netflix Is a Joke festival, wherein he commented on the ensuing fallout that made the natural selection joke front. I do not know what I just read when I just said the words. Page Entertainment News. After a slew of bits about transgender people, a preposterously popular target among Rife's class of comedian, Rife remarked to his audience, what am I going to do? Get cancelled? Cool. I'll do another bowl show. Awesome. Okay, so horrible, horrible jokes that aren't... I mean, they're not funny anyway. Even if you like dark humor, then they're kind of just not funny. But again, even if you're like, it is kind of funny, think about this from a business point of view, right? Which isn't the biggest issue here. The biggest issue here is that he was used anyway. But e.l.f. have chosen somebody who made a joke about covering up the result of domestic violence with makeup. And then you're going to hire him for a makeup ad. e.l.f. Come on. And let's also remember that in the e.l.f. advert here, they have a victim hotline, which, looking at all this, is in terrible, terrible taste. And he says a few things in his, like, quote there. His very incel, right? His very incel, his, like, women taking their boyfriends and husbands to shows because a husband probably paid for the tickets anyway. You know women work and have money, right? You know women make money. This isn't like the 50s and they've begged their husband for some money from his office job and, like, you know what I mean? The jokes are for men who have stinky assholes, who don't know how to wipe properly. This idea of a fun time is fishing and then having sex with the fish. Anyway, let's get back to that e.l.f. advert. You just think about who decided to hire this man. This would have had to go through lots of different stages, right? People approving it. Google is a good thing to use. But also, his manager, does he have a manager? I've also seen a lot of talk on this about it being, what's it called? Rage bait, right? Rage bait, listen, rage bait can be funny sometimes. There's certain people online who do rage bait really well without offending people. They'll do something like, they'll put, a popular one is people using like this old face filter, subtly, and then saying, I look pretty good for 24 years old, when the filter has loads of wrinkles, grey hair, and it looks very Dobby-like, some of it, if they go that far. And then you have people in the comments angry, like, you don't look 20, whatever. You know what I mean? That's kind of like funny rage bait at yourself. Here's the deal. If e.l.f. are doing this for rage bait, to me, that's even worse. I'll tell you why. Because they have sat in a room and decided that their next best thing, despite all their adverts doing so well and people loving the brand, they sat in a room and decided, how can we what should we do? Let's try pissing people off. Who do we piss off? The survivors of domestic abuse. If that is a conscious choice a brand has made, that is worse than them accidentally not knowing who they've chosen. You know what I mean? That's even worse. I want to direct you to a video done by a creator called Isabella Lanta, who I've been subscribed to for a very long time. She did this video, The Real Problem with the e.l.f. Cosmetics and American Eagle ads and rage bait marketing. She has experience and knowledge of marketing, and she brings up some incredible points throughout this video about rage bait, how rage bait doesn't really work when it comes to brands like this, and especially e.l.f. You have to watch the whole video. She gets it down to a T. I also want to add in here as well that a few brands have kind of like come for e.l.f. as well. Wet n Wild, a brand I liked already, I think I have a new love for, have been going in. They posted this, said, no bad jokes, just good glam. We've got what you're looking for. Our punchline, fabulous looks, and 2025 prices locked in. They have been going for them. And guess who else went for e.l.f.? Milk. e.l.f. probably known more for their grippy primer. Milk posted a TikTok with one of their, like, she's like the makeup artist for a brand. I believe her name's Sarah. Met her in LA. Really great artist, really great person. And she's using the Milk, the original grippy primer, and being like, come on, like, come on. Listen, let me just tell you, first of all, so much stuff has gone down in the beauty world. I was on vacation for 2 weeks and everything was happening. And yes, if you feel like asking me, have you seen this? Are you going to talk about this? The answer is yes. Just give me some time, because there's everything. There's everything to talk about. I'm very disappointed in e.l.f., but they have also made the breakup very easy because of their apologies. They posted some pictures the next day after realizing that everybody hated everything. And basically it was a filing cabinet. The caption says, yesterday, filed, stamped, and sealed. Now we're back to fighting overpriced beauty injustices. And then it was like, dial, whatever. I don't know if this was meant to be some kind of like, we made a mistake, sorry, done it, it's in the past. It's not that simple. And you're still adding that humor into your apology. It is not funny to joke about covering up the results of domestic violence with makeup and then put the guy who said it in your makeup ad. Full stop. There should be no humor in that. That obviously wasn't received very well, because then they posted this the next day as a reel for some reason. You know us, we're always listening and we've heard you. This campaign aims to humorously spotlight beauty and justice. We understand we missed the mark with people we care about in our e.l.f. community. Well, Elfino and Schman's closes today will continue to make her case against overpriced beauty. Why are you still joking? Why is still talking about this fictional law office? Just say you're fucking sorry, delete the original advert and be done with it. Well, it won't be done with it because everyone's going to remember this forever now. The internet's forever, right? And Matt Rife commented on this and said, had a great time, and then put hearts. This isn't an apology at all. Not one bit. And here's the deal, from a business point of view, even if you're out there again being like, I don't get it, I don't care. The deal is, they are catering to the beauty community, right? A lot of the people who buy from this brand are younger people who tend to be a lot more open-minded than the older generation, who also want more affordable products, who might not care about this kind of stuff. Which I find it really hard to think about. I'm not a woman, so I can't really speak on this, but I saw some women in the comments that are like, get over it. But it's like, if you were a survivor of domestic violence, or your friend was, would you tell them to just get over it? For a makeup brand? For a comedian who doesn't know you exist? Is that your level of support for other humans. And I know people on the kind of extreme right wing, I'm not talking to everyone, they're kind of like, what they want to do is upset people that they see as woke, you know, upset anyone who supports trans people, upset anyone who supports the LGBTQIA plus community, upset anyone who is slightly offended by something. They will go and do, they will probably now go out and buy e.l.f. products. But what e.l.f. don't understand is, or fail to see is, that support's going to change. People are just going to buy stuff to prove a point, not to be dedicated to the brand. I was making a point and I completely lost it. It's just very disappointing. And I know we shouldn't be in this world, be like, oh, you know, this brand could never do any wrong. But here's a part of me that really thought they wouldn't, because they seemed like they were doing great things. But as I said, they've made the breakup very, very easy. I bet Charlotte Tilbury is loving this. Okay, well, we're all very disappointed. Be respectful to each other in the comments if you are going to comment. At the end of the day, this has offended people, and people are allowed to be offended. People are allowed to not be offended. But you can't tell people that domestic violence is funny. And then from a business point of view, you can't say that hiring a comedian who jokes about domestic violence and covering the results of it with makeup is a good hire choice for a makeup brand aimed at women from a company whose whole thing is supporting women. All right. I'm scared to ask your opinions down below in the comments, but please do. Thank you so much for joining me. And yeah, see you soon. Bye.